Yeah, hello there, my name is Wokinar, and welcome back for another tier list. So, what happened is I one night sat down and just started pumping out ideas of different things that I wanted to do tier lists about. But you are more than welcome to always add things that you should think be in the tier list and where you would rate them, and ideas for tier lists. What I am going to do today, though, is zoo animals. So I don't know why, I decided this one would be an interesting little one. I clicked the wrong thing. So I got a couple of, I sat down again, collected a whole bunch of pictures. I separated them out into carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores. I will say that there aren't a whole lot of, there's not a lot of, you won't see the whole, there's no aquarium stuff. So if you were to walk into an aquarium that might be a part of a zoo, there's not going to be that. That can be a whole list of its own. The same thing as a birdhouse. So there's not there is one or two birds on here, I think, but there's not a whole lot of them because it's another one. The ornithology realm is gigantic, as well as we do have some lizards and whatnot, but I kind of just thought to myself, okay, if I walk to the zoo, or if I walked into a zoo, what are the animals that basically they have their own enclosures, kind of, that sort of, they have their own enclosures or stand out more. So I need to come up with better prompts for this, so more better deciding factors on things. But this one I have appearance, wow factor, and the likelihood that you are to see them in America just out in the wild, so not necessarily in a zoo setting. So there'll be some of these animals that, we get them all the time. You go to a state and this animal's already in this state and it's full of that animal. But, so you'll see them all the time. We are going to start off with an alligator. Look at that little man. Hello, friend. Alligators, again, you got to start with, they're cool. They are cool. They're cool to see a little bit more up close, especially in zoo settings. And I can't say a whole lot about them. There are plenty of places that you can actually go in the US and see alligators, just to begin with. And I'll have to make the same argument for crocodiles because it's the exact same thing. You're more than likely to see them in the wild. So, they exist pretty commonly. But what was it? So wow factor, I think they're pretty cool because they're, modern day dinosaur. But you're more than likely going to see them out in the wild, especially if you live in Florida. And you can see them pretty frequently, or if you live in swampy areas. But I feel they're cool. But based on the fact that they're pretty common, I'm going to give them, they're going to get a C. They're a C because they're cool, but again, you're gonna see them a lot in America. I guess then next would probably just be easier to do the crocodile. wants to go and ding. Crocodile. So we're starting off with carnivores, if you couldn't tell. Like I said, I'm gonna do... I tried to get as even of a mixture of them as I could of different animals. Crocodiles, again, it's one of those. They're cool. But they're pretty commonly seen in different parts of the U.S. So, especially the like south towards Florida and like in the Everglades and whatnot. This is a saltwater crocodile specifically. So I guess that you're gonna end up on the C tier as well, friend. But you're cool. This was specifically requested from a friend, a Tasmanian devil. I think they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool little fellas. They're the largest carnivorous marsupial in the world. They're native only to Tasmania, unless you see them in zoos and whatnot. So, but they're... I can't give them an S tier because I'll say this as, yeah, we're not going to see them in America. They're not native to America whatsoever. So you're not going to see them in America unless one somehow gets loose. There's just too many other animals I feel like you see in America that are pretty close to them to begin with. Like they're kind of, if you took a like cat and a possum or something like that and mushed them together. But they're pretty cool. They're cool. They're not native, so that gives them an upper hand. They're probably going to be an S tier. Because, yeah, I'd be... Oh, yeah, I should have been another factor should be the fact that, I mean, I like going to the zoo and seeing animals, but, like, you get kind of the boring days or whatever, where maybe it's like you go there and it's like a really hot day or something. So maybe animals won't be doing much. They might just kind of be laying in the shade or whatever. But, you know, on days where they're more active, they get a little bit cooler. Because you get to see them more in action. You get to see them doing their thing. Cheetahs. A cheetah and her Cheetos. Cheetahs are pretty cool. I know my zoo is a little bit like more difficult. The zoo closest to me, it's not like we're not gonna walk up and see them directly in a as far as I remember, I don't even remember if there are cheetahs in my local zoo. I don't know. I mean, they're cool. They're, for some reason to me, they're always just very different from the big cats, because you look at like lions and tigers and whatnot, and they're cool, but like you look at a cheetah and it's like, you look at that thing and you're definitely like, I'm going to die. It's looking at me and I might just die from it looking at me, because they just always look so angry. And like this one in particular, she's got that angry look because she's being defensive of her babies, even though the babies are cute as can be. Of course, not native to America, so we're not going to see them at all. I feel like you're another A tier. You're another A tier because you're cool. You're a bit scary. And you're not native to America. I didn't do too many lizards because, again, lizards, we're going to see a lot of lizards. You see a lot of lizards in America. The same as snakes. I didn't do too many of those. I did do like one picture for like snakes, because if I go out and walk in a cornfield for a couple minutes, I'll probably run into a snake. Or just walk into my lawn because they're so popular. But to me, there are some that are a little bit more different. So the Gila monster is native to the US and little other places. But like you look at the ones that are like the really cool designs and whatnot, not like the ones that you're gonna see that are like, okay, it's a little gray or green thing. But like this dude who's like, he's pretty bright and he's cool. They're pretty big. As far as I remember, I think they're like, yeah, it grows up to around 22 inches, so they can be bigger. I think I threw that in there because I just didn't have many lizards, but they're pretty cool. But they're indigenous to the U.S. and northern Mexico and whatnot, so you'll see them if you go down south. You're cool, but you're a lot like other lizards. I think the thing that saves you is your name. You're gonna be our first beat here. And you are always fully welcome to debate me on this. Hyenas. They're cool, but hyenas are deceptively small. They're small, so they're pack hunters. Not native to America, of course. I feel like the closest thing to them here in the U.S. would probably be coyotes, even though, there's wolves and whatnot. But they're cool, but they're not super. They're really known for that cackle sound. They're definitely one that you got to see them in action for it to be like, really, wow, look at that thing. Otherwise, it's like, how'd that dog get in there? So I feel like you're probably a C. I just like going to the zoo, so seeing that was actually a bit of trivia about me. I actually considered zoology as a career path. I did consider that at one point as a career path. It was kind of back burner, but it was up there with things. Komodo dragon. Again, I do have to say these things are definitely, they're above like the Gila monster, but the Gila monster is more of the American version, because if I remember, Gila monsters, or not, Komodo dragons are from, where are Komodo dragons from? They're big for one. They're gigantic. Where are they from? Oh, they're okay. So they would be in because they're considered endangered. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're in Indonesia. That's what I thought. I just couldn't remember. They're cool. They're gigantic. They would be a more active. They'd be like seeing a more active. Unless you're fully seeing an active alligator or crocodile, because these guys they grow big. I'll give them. I feel like since them being pretty rare and they're being pretty big, that's another thing. Is if I just thought about that. There's. Sometimes you have the desire or like that joy in going into like the zoo, the reptile house, that sort of thing, and looking around the enclosure, like specifically looking for them, trying to find where the like creature is, because sometimes they might be burrowed, sometimes it might be a smaller creature within, like, I mean, within a tank. So it might be a smaller like lizard or snake or something like that. Especially in like the reptile house, that you have to look at it, you have to look around and find it. But seeing them in action is what really like gets you like excited. Seeing them moving about, but depends on the animal. A lot of animals that end up in zoos are rescues that or have some ailment. Then there are some that are, you know, bred in captivity, but there are a lot that end up in zoos because they just couldn't make it in the wild, or they couldn't, they ended up something like basically life-threatening happened to them, or things like they're endangered species, so we keep certain amounts of them in zoos to make sure they don't go endangered. Not endangered, extinct. But these guys are pretty cool. They're cool. I don't know if we have Komodo dragons at my... I'd have to like look up the list of what we had, because I did at first. I just kind of looked up list of zoo animals. Lions are always pretty cool to see. It's a big old kitty. They're however, they don't seem to be as active in zoos. Of course, they're not native to the US. If they were, that'd be scary. But they're never as active. I mean, you do see them moving around sometimes. They do like to play with things. They mess around with, like, they'll have like giant balls and whatnot in their enclosure that they'll mess with. But I always feel like they're kind of the lazier ones. So they're cool. They're easy to see because you walk up to a lion enclosure and you're like, oh, there's the lion. I think they're definitely like a pride of like most zoos is like, here's our lion. You go to any zoo and they're probably gonna have lions, at least one lion. They're cool. I'd give them an A. Penguins. So this is a picture of our boy Pesto, if you didn't know. The recent, there's been the two recent, there's Mudang and then there's Pesto, the two very viral zoo animals recently. I like penguins. Of course, I think there is a certain breed of penguin that does live in America. Okay, no, there's not. No, they're in the rainforest. I can't remember what kind of penguin that is. But there are some penguins that aren't, you know, strictly cold weather penguins, but like this is emperor penguins. So, they're cool. They're fun to watch. They're always moving. They're always doing stuff. You can always I feel like you get a lot of them when they have penguin enclosures. There's a lot of penguins. There's not just like here's one or two penguins. They're definitely one of the that you'll have, maybe not penguin trainers, but you'll get like shows out of them. So someone will go in there and you'll like see them eating, swimming and whatnot. They're also, that's another thing that I like, is when you have the glass where you see not only here's the top of their enclosure, but here we can see into the water, so we can see them swimming about and whatnot. Plus, they also make really funny viral videos of them doing stupid stuff. I feel like they got to be our first S tier because they're cool. They cool. Might have to shrink that down some. Got that. Okay. Yeah, this is where I was when I was talking about only having a couple pictures for snakes. So at King Cobra, snakes are cool. They're cool, but especially finding different snakes. So King Cobra, very specifically, not indigenous to the U.S., but we do have plenty of different other types of snakes here. We find them on the regular. They're pretty cool. I think King Cobras stand out just because of their appearance. But like, if I were to live somewhere where there's a lot of King Cobras, I wouldn't be as impressed. But we're like, that's one of those, like, the media, like movies, older movies, Indiana Jones type of stuff, where you see a King Cobra and it makes them so cool and threatening looking. And then you have the video of the guy that, like, gets bit at by one and he turns around and smacks it on the head and it has no idea what's going on. They're cool, but snakes in general, there's so many of them. At least when I was growing up, you'd go outside, you'd find a garter snake, like, pretty easily. I'd find garter snakes, like, all the time. They're cool, but they're not as cool as they could be. But that's also the difference between venomous and non-venomous. I feel like they're a first D tier because they're not super cool. They don't. And people can fight me on this. That's exactly why I make these. People can fight me on these placements. I'm perfectly fine with that. Do that. Please do that. Fight me on these placements of things. If you think, hey, no, that deserved higher. Maybe you are like a person that's really into snakes. I worked at a summer camp for 6 years. Kids would find snakes all the time. We'd find snakes all the time. We'd have to shoo snakes off of different patios and whatnot. Kids we had an ecology department that they would fill up, like, tanks and have a couple of different local wildlife things, so different frogs, turtles, snakes, and whatnot, that they'd find around the area before the camp season actually started. They'd get some of those, but then kids would bring in the whole summer. They'd try and bring in things and to get them put in like tanks, but it's like, we can't put everything in a tank. So I think that might be another reason why I'm just kind of like, they happen, they're snakes. Tigers are way more likely to see. I definitely think tigers are way above, they're above lions. They're a little bit more above cheetahs because they're like taking the best of both of them and putting them together. Because look at this dude. He is scary to look at. That's a Siberian tiger. He is scary to look at. They're not native to the US. He's threatening. He's got these, like, cool auras. There's some zoos that have, like, the I've seen it a couple of times where they have, like, the try and, like, pull against a, like, tiger. There's different things like that. Can you pull against this, or can you lift the weight of this, sort of, like, exhibits, and then that are, like, don't actually involve the animals. But then there's like actual ones that would have, like, a piece of rope fed through a hole in the glass that, like, is their containment. That I say containment. Their structure, that so that people, if the big cat is, like, feels like it, they can sort of play with it, and you can play tug of war with the cat. And, like, seeing, like, the video of, like, strong men trying to pull against a tiger and completely losing is just so cool. I gotta give these guys an S. They're also, again, one of those, you gotta catch them on a good day. Any of the animals, I will say that, you have to catch them on a good day. And sometimes you go to a zoo, and maybe the animal that's in the exhibit isn't in the exhibit because they may be taken out for like the exhibits getting cleaned, or the like animal is getting taken care of or something like that, you know. So they're very finicky things. Like, I want to say I threw on the Tasmanian devil, but they were kind of a finicky one to find, that you wouldn't see them all the time in my local zoo. Even though they have their own specific exhibit, you don't see them all the time in the exhibit. And you know, that's just the thing. They're taking care of animals. I mean, it's the same as if you were to take your like pet or whatever to the vet. So you don't always see them, but most of the time you do see them. But it's not like they're gonna leave them. And that's the difference between indoor and outdoor exhibits. So depending on the time of year you go in, I know for our like apes and whatnot, or apes and monkeys, they have both indoor and outdoor exhibits. Well, everything technically does, so that they can escape the heat, escape the rain, escape the cold, those sorts of things. So they're not always going to be out in their outdoor exhibit for everyone to see. So, last carnivore that I have, there are plenty more. Wolves. They're pretty cool. I like seeing them because they're definitely different than dogs. I know those, like, the exhibit at our zoo for the wolves, it's difficult to see them. It's actually really difficult to see them. They hide a lot. They really do. They hide a lot. There are plenty of wolves everywhere. They can be native to the US. There's even wolf dogs. I mean, it's just like seeing a dog on steroids. But there is a little bit of a difference. I like them, but they're definitely especially my zoo experiences. You go to the zoo and you'll be hard pressed to find the wolves. You won't see them easily. They like to hide. They very much like to hide. Even though I don't know if they probably have an indoor portion of the exhibit, but that's more of like, we bring them indoors. There's like, everywhere has like, okay, very specifically, it's freezing cold or something like that. I mean, that won't bother the wolves because they're, you know, normally found up north, so they're cold weather animals. You'll find them, well, they're not cold weather, they're all year round animals because they're dogs. But those sorts of extreme sort of temperatures, they might bring them in so that they're not, you know, doing too bad. I like them, but I think I gotta give them a C just because maybe my experiences are just skewed. My experiences are skewed because they're not, I don't see them all the time. You don't see them all the time. Okay, so that was the last of the carnivores. Like I said, there are plenty more carnivores and whatnot, everything like that. Go ahead and put more, rank them, and we'll take a look at them, okay? I like responding to everyone's comments as best as I can. And we are moving on to the herbivores. Wait. Otters aren't herbivores. Why did I do that? There's some that might be mixed up. Yeah. Otters are technically carnivores, but they can be omnivorous. So, I love otters. They're so freaking cute. We don't have any, I don't think ours, we do have otters, but like, and again, it's one of those, the mixture of, the glass that you see them swimming, you can see them up on land. I want to. I totally wish I lived in an area where they have the. There's so many like different like I see it. It's mostly in Asia where like they have the ones where you can hold hands with the otters. There's the they do shows with the otters where they throw stuff into like the water and they'll retrieve it and bring it back, or they give them, you get to actually see like otters using their pockets and whatnot, but they're cool. They're not native to so there's the difference. There's the sea and river otters, but river otters river otters in my they're cuter, but then you have I'm gonna so no, I mean both of them are pretty cute. Which one is it though? There's one that's like absolutely terrifying. Okay, no, I think it's the giant river otter. One of them is, yeah, the giant river otter is terrifying. All the sea otters and normal river otters and whatnot are so freaking cute. They're adorable. These are sea otters, but the giant river otters are terrifying. They're native to the US, but I personally I don't see them. Even if I were to like go up to the lake or go to one of the rivers and whatnot, I don't see them frequently. But they're cool. I think they're cool, and they have pockets. They get I'm torn. I'm gonna have to put B plus to A. They're gonna B plus. I'm torn. There are some of them that I did throw into. Okay, tortoise. I love them. You look at this thing and you're like, you shouldn't exist. What are you? You were a dinosaur, sir. And you, especially because like I've done the experience with them before, because you know different zoos do different experiences with, like, there's some that do penguin like experiences, and that I think the tortoise and like turtle one is pretty common. So we got to see like where other like into their back rooms where they keep other turtles and whatnot that are not currently on display, that are maybe sick and healing. But these guys are cool. They're cool. They don't care. They're not native to America, as most people know. They're from the Galapagos. Well, especially this guy. This is the Galapagos tortoise. They're the ones that Darwin rode. I find them incredibly cool. I think you, sir, they're incredibly long-lived. You, sir, deserve an S. Camels. Camels are weird. They're very strange creatures, but they're very cool creatures. They're one of those that you can not only see them at a zoo, but you can see them at like one of those drive-through safari things. There's plenty of them everywhere, like the drive-through ones that you'll get like a bucket of feed or like bag of carrots or something like that you can feed them, and they'll poke their heads into your car, and they've got just the weird, they've got the most like friendly looking faces, but you got to be careful because they're one of the ones that'll spit at you. They're cool. Of course, they're not native to the US, but I feel like we just have so many of them over here that it almost feels like they are. Even though every one of them that is here is, you know, in captivity. But I feel like they just stand out because it's the way they exist. Because it's not as if I were to I could walk outside and see like what I don't even know what family they belong in. Like what. Camelids. Okay, so llamas and alpacas are their closest relative. Yeah, so yeah, they've got like the same face and whatnot. That's kind of cool. But they're cool. But I feel like they're definitely they're the fact that you see so many of them, I feel like they're not as cool. And seeing they're just kind of like, especially if you see a lot of alpacas or llamas, like I've helped raise alpacas before. they're not as cool because you look at them and you're just like, what's wrong with that alpaca? Elephants, of course, not native to America. They're cool. They're one that you gotta be. It's definitely one you gotta catch them on a good day, depending on whether or not they're gonna be. If they feel playful, it's always better if there are baby elephants at the zoo that you go to, because they're more than likely they're gonna be more playful, so you're gonna get to see them in action. Otherwise, they exist. They're big guys. I mean, they're cool, but I feel like seeing them so much, they face the same issues as the camel, but they're pretty cool. They get the monkeys. I just very specifically chose a finger monkey because look at that thing. Look at that thing. Look at it. Monkeys are great. Monkeys are amazing, not native to the US. You're gonna see so many different types of them, and they're definitely ones that are always gonna be playing around. They're always gonna be they're the apes and monkeys exhibits is definitely one that I try and steer my friend towards when trying to, when at the zoo, because they're the ones that have, like you can look up and they have like all these different hammocks and ropes and all these different things that they climb about on, and they do so much. And look at him. And every monkey is cute. Not every monkey. But they're great. Monkeys are great. I love them. Pandas. Pandas are great. They fall. They're endangered, and one can see why. You go on the freaking internet, you look up a video of a panda, and it is more than likely going to be a video of it falling off of something. Because we wonder how they survive outside of zoo environments. They're cool dudes. They're the only herbivores in the bear family, because most of the rest of them are omnivores. They're cool. Of course, not native to the US. I feel like more than likely you're gonna see them doing stuff, especially if you have multiple. That's always a kicker. You need to have multiple of the animal. If you have multiple of the animal, and if they're family, or if they've just been around each other for long enough, they'll act differently. They'll act like siblings, or they'll act like, you get the videos of like whatever bears, primates and whatnot, bugging their parents. I feel like you guys deserve an S tier because you're cool. I'm gonna say it. I like giraffes. They're cool, but they're just they're also they're like, you shouldn't exist. Why do you exist? You look up at the thing and you're like, how do you exist? Not native to the US. But I think they're just one of the, I think maybe it's just because for the longest time when like when zoos started to become a popular thing and like people started getting giraffes, they pushed the giraffes. Like it was one of the, like if I were to say like, close your eyes right now and I say the word zoo, think of like the first 3 animals that pop into your mind. Giraffe's probably gonna be one of them. Because it's like exactly like if I were to look up just like a zoo logo, they're probably gonna have a picture of a giraffe. They'll have, yeah, this is literally just a generic, it just says the zoo. It just says the zoo. Elephant was probably one of the other animals that you thought about, but giraffe is always going to be one of those. So I feel like that I've seen so many of them that they're just like, okay, you guys are cool, you're still weird, you're fun to feed, but you're like maybe one of like the first things you go to just because they're going to be a part of like most, I feel like most have like an Africa exhibit. Like these are the African animals. But they're not as cool as some people can argue. You know what? I feel like you deserve a D because they're not that cool. Maybe I will say for kids, for younger kids, they're cool because it's especially one of those, if you were taking a kid to the zoo for the first time, not a baby, a kid that's going to remember the zoo, they're going to look up and be like, what the hell is that thing? That thing shouldn't exist. Versus you take them over to, like, say the wolves or the lions or whatnot, and they're going to be like, okay, we have a cat at home or a dog at home. So they're going to be like, oh, yeah, it's a dog or cat or whatever. Or even like the tortoises, if you have turtles at home. Hey, there's a turtle. But that giraffes are just weird animals. They're cool, but they're weird. Lemurs are technically omnivores because they eat bugs, as well as fruits and whatnot. Again, they give the same thing as they move around. It's fun to just watch them. You pick out one specific like lemur or monkey or whatever, and you watch it. You just watch it move and run and have fun and play. Or sometimes just like sitting there watching them eating is amusing. I would say, so this, how many more? Okay, I don't have any. I know I do have other in the herbivore or in the omnivores. That they're one of those weird things, but they're like interesting, like to look at. You're like you look like something a kid would draw. Like I feel like they deserve an S tier. I was trying to think of reasons why they wouldn't be an S tier, but no, they're. I've been doing this for 45 minutes. Every time I do one of these, I realize doing them, it's like, okay, I'm doing this, but then realize, oh, holy crap. I don't know about y'all, but ostriches freak me out. They don't like scare me or anything, but they're just like, what the hell, man? You probably shouldn't exist. Also, they're mean. They are so mean. Not native to America. They're so mean. But they're cool to look at because it's just like, imagine that on your plate for Thanksgiving. I shouldn't say that because I think, no, ostriches aren't endangered, are they? Because there's like a hell of a lot of ostriches. Okay, yeah, it's not considered threatened even. Oh yeah, that's another. So you get ostriches and then you get emus. Emus are, you know, more than likely you're gonna get like the emus in the drive-through safaris and whatnot, because I feel like they're a little bit less mean than ostriches, but they're still freaking mean. They're so mean. I mean, they're cool to look at, but they're just, ugh. I don't get a wow factor from them because they're so mean. If you weren't such a jerk, you'd get a higher rating. Red pandas. Oh my god, look at these babies. They're so cute. They're so cute. Everyone knows of them trying to look threatening. They stand up. I'm big, I'm threatening, but they're really not. I feel they're also more active at the zoo. They're definitely more active creature because they do have like climbing stuff for them. At least not as, I feel like not as tall as like the stuff that the monkeys and the apes get. Partially because might just be because of how much they can climb. They're cute. Of course not native. And you just look at them and you get this like just feeling of like, I want to cuddle that thing. That thing is amazing. You deserve an S tier. This is crazy. This is like the first. This is the first one where I'm gonna fill up the S tier. Rhinos. They're cool. I mean, they're cool. They're dangerous. They kind of fit the bill of elephants, though. Because I mean, if you find one, they're probably going to be standing around. They're going to be eating. They're not going to be doing things that a wild rhino would be doing. Because they're a lot more tame in the environment of a zoo because they don't have, for one, they just don't have the room. I'm gonna give them an A tier. They're still cool and whatnot, but they're just not as silverback gorillas. These guys are always fun. These are. Oh, of course, they're the ones that, like, I love apes. I love apes and monkeys so much. Just watching the, like, videos of silverback gorillas eating is amusing to me because I'm like, that's me. They're amusing. Watching them, like, inflate and hit their air sacs is hilarious. They're dangerous. They're hella dangerous. But I bet this is probably another one. If I were to say zoo and think about like the first three things. First 3 to 5 things, you're gonna think of that. You might think of that, or just like a chimp. Maybe just a chimp. And it would definitely be one that like they make a lot of merchandise out of is their gorillas. So they're cool, but I feel like they're not as cool as some of the other ones. And that's definitely another one where you have to get them on a good day where they're acting around, they're monkeying around. So I'll give them an A. Sloths. Sloths are cool. They're, however, they're a little bit boring to watch. I mean, they're unless you like, or unless you go to one where you go to one where you can go and like hold the sloth, because that is a thing. But they're not gonna. They don't move a whole much. They're not in the U.S., but they're not gonna do a whole bunch. But I think they're still pretty cool to look at. I'm gonna give them a B. Zebras. Every zoo that's got like Africa exhibit has a herd of zebras. In my mind, they're cool, yeah, because you have they're a horse that was painted weird, but that's just that. They're a horse that's painted weird. they're cool, but you see a lot of them. I feel like you guys deserve a B as well. I'm sorry. I feel sad anytime I put them in. Actually, I don't even know if I want to give them that. No, I don't think they deserve it. Just because of how many there are. All right, on to the omnivores. Chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are definitely more of the ones you're gonna see doing a lot more. I'll say it this way. So there is a difference between when you get ape and like monkey exhibits, you have, I'll say it's gonna sound weird, but you'll realize and you'll be like, he's right. You have floor monkeys and sky monkeys. So you'll have the ones that are, you'll get the bigger like silverback gorillas, orangutans, and whatnot that are going to be on the ground more of the time than they are going to be, up above you, like moving around. So the bigger ones are going to be down on the ground, whereas you're going to have like a capuchin is going to be running around in the ropes and on the little platforms that they have above you. These guys are kind of in the middle though. They're cool. They will move around, but I don't know how many chimps we have at the zoo near me. I don't know. They're cool, but I'm gonna throw them in the. I don't know why. I have this specific like for specific chimps and monkeys. There are specific ones that I like. Black bear. It's a bear. It's a black bear. We have plenty of them in the U.S. There are plenty of black bears in the U.S. They're not super. I mean, they're cool to look at, but they're just like. Yeah, they're the like, if you know the saying, if you're like an outdoorsy person, the like if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, hit the ground, and because it's just one of those. The U.S. has plenty of black and brown bears. They're cool, but they're not. They're lackluster. Got to give you guys a D because you're just. I don't know. I'm gonna give you an E because I feel like I live in. They're just. I'm the same as the grizzly. Yeah, you're cool, but you're just. You're not that cool. Could be cooler, my guy. But you're not. Bald eagles, of course. Like I said, there's not going to be many birds. Actually, I think this is the only bird I have on here. I think this is just cool. They're cooler because you get to see them. I think the only reason I put them in here is because you get to see them up close, and you just get to see the magnitude of them. Okay, no, there's the ostrich and whatnot in here as well. But you get to see the magnitude of these guys. They're big. The noises they make are really cool, but they're that's our national bird. It's the U.S.'s national bird. I can't see our national bird because I did go over my analytics not too long ago and saw that I have viewers in other countries, and that's really cool to me. That was really cool to see, guys. I keep closing the tab with the stuff. Gibbons. I love Gibbons. Look at that little man. Look at him. Not native to the U.S. They're the ones. They are absolutely the ones that you're gonna see moving around, and but they'll run around on the ground as well. They're really smart. They do lots. I love them. Gibbons have a special place in my heart, and I don't know why. They get nice. Hippos. I didn't get a picture of Mudang. Hippos are cool because they're just like, you look at them. I feel like they're, for some reason, they're just slightly cooler than rhinos. Because you look at a rhino and it's like, yeah, you have that horn and whatnot, but the first thought that popped into my mind was big dick energy, or the first thing that popped in my mind was big dick energy. Because you look at a hippo and they're like, you know that thing will mess you up. You absolutely know that thing will mess you up. Without, like, not without hesitation, but like, if it wanted to, it can. Easily. Without breaking a sweat. If they sweat. I don't know. But they're cool, but seeing them like swim as well. So like seeing them not as only just like on the land, but seeing this tank of an animal like swim is super cool. And especially watching videos and whatnot, or even watching them eat is really cool, because it's just like, you look at their mouth and you're like, at first you only see the couple of their front teeth, and you're just like, wait, where are the rest of it? They have smaller teeth in the closer to the back, because when they open their mouths, it's gigantic. I feel like you're an easy A tier. You guys are a pretty easy A tier. Foxes are cool. We have them in the US. People have them as pets, so I don't know. Then they tear things up. People that have them as pets will have like dedicated rooms for them, because they tear things up because they're burrowers. So they'll tear, like, if you put a couch in there, they'll make a absolute pile of fluff out of it in like 2 minutes, because they tear crap up. They're cool, but I just feel like they're not. They're laughing is cute and whatnot, but they're kind of lackluster. Orangutans. I love orangutans. I absolutely. They're right next to gibbons for me. One night, Ben and I were waiting for someone to play a game with, and I just sat there for like 2 hours watching orangutan and gibbon videos. They're so smart. They're like the next closest to smartness, if like when it comes to apes and whatnot for us, other than, you know, dolphins. But so when I say intelligence, dolphins are really intelligent, but orangutans are like, we've seen them using tools, we've seen them driving. They can drive. They're really cool. They're really smart. Their facial expressions are hilarious. Easiest. I might be biased, but fine. And last but not least, polar bears. They're cool. I think they're cool, especially because they're not native to the U.S., so you're not gonna see them all the time. I feel like they're definitely more active. At least the ones at our zoo they're pretty active. they move around, they swim a lot, they have an enclosure that they can swim in. I feel like they definitely take a lot to take care of, though, especially because them being incredibly cold weather creatures. But they're really cool to look at. And I mean, it's just one of those, you look at a polar bear versus like, I mean, yeah, you look at a grizzly or whatever and be like, I want to cuddle it. But for some reason, you look at a, I don't know, I get that feeling more with polar bears than I do with grizzly bears. Because, I don't know, I look at him, look at his face. Look at his face. He just looks so cool. They're cool. They're dangerous, though. They are incredibly dangerous. So, like, Arctic researchers have to be incredibly, like, careful of them. You guys deserve, I will say, B tier, B plus A. Yeah, you guys fit in with the otters. And that is the list. That is what I have. Like I said, there are plenty more. There are way more things. I didn't even get into like the insects and whatnot that places have. But if I did that, then this would be way more. Like, look. I don't know. There's like I think close to 30 on here. But put animals down in the comments below where you'd rank them. If you want to debate any of where I have selected things, do so. Go ahead and put suggestions for other tier lists you'd like me to do, and I'll take a look at them and think about them. Like I said, we're trying to think about outside of the box ones, so not like I had to explain this to a friend last night of what I've had to explain them to people before the tier listing thing. Because people will do with like sports teams and whatnot. I'm not a huge sports fan. I do watch some sports, but when I watch sports, I watch like a couple teams, so I'm not going to do that. If you want me to do a video games tier list of like a certain franchise or something, let me know. But let me know for other ideas that you want me to do. Otherwise, I'm all out of time for this one. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.